When it comes to unintentional mechanics, Melee's pretty infamous. Sometimes, though, I see very intentional mechanics dismissed as something they're not. Take, for instance, a staple of competitive Melee play, L canceling. The act of pressing L, R, or Z shortly before landing with an aerial. Timing this correctly doubles the speed of an aerial's landing animation, allowing for a subsequent action to be performed more quickly afterward, making it one of the leading factors to competitive Melee's breakneck speeds. While L canceling itself isn't mentioned in any official capacity such as the manual, its equivalent tech from Smash 64, known to most as Z canceling, was mentioned on the official Smash Bros. Website as a mechanic under the name of smooth landing. And because of these two mechanics' similarities, we can reasonably assume that, while undeniably hidden from the player, L canceling is intentional. Also, in several interviews, Sakurai himself mentions the mechanic as something he specifically added and introduced to the world, and by that same token deliberately removed for Brawl's release, in an effort to tighten the gap between casual and hardcore players. But there exist some mechanics so hidden, so obscure, so weird, that not even many of Melee's most seasoned players know of their existence. Like this one. Did you notice it? Come on, you didn't notice Fox not being sent as far as usual? Amateur. This is V canceling. Very inspired. Discovered in 2015, V canceling is a mechanic that, in the game's code, multiplies knockback velocity by 0.95, or in layman's terms, reduces it by 5%. V canceling is somewhat similar to teching. Both require a fully depressed shoulder button to perform, both have a 40-frame lockout window, and both are actions that can be performed to aid in surviving otherwise deadly attacks, or at least escaping a combo. Where they differ, however, is in their function. Teching involves a player more quickly recovering from a damage or tumble state by colliding with a solid object. V canceling is the opposite, requiring the player performing it to be airborne, but not in hit stun, or floating, or doing a special move, or attack. You can imagine why this took 15 years to discover. On top of having much more rare use cases, V canceling is also much more difficult to perform. A 3-frame window, compared to a tech's whopping 20. But it's not so difficult as to be undoable. In fact, if you play Melee, there's a pretty good chance you've done it on accident at least a few times. When trying to tech shortly before a follow-up connects, or when trying to use an air dodge especially. Funnily enough, there's at least one known instance of someone accidentally V-canceling an otherwise game-ending kill move, surviving, then winning that game. There might even be a quality breakdown of what I'm talking about somewhere. My man Walt.
Okay guys, this isn't my video. Where is the jazzy music? Thank you. And the wavy text. How many times did we rehearse this? Alright, how's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Turn down for Walt here. In this episode of Melee's glitches that aren't really glitches by AsumSaus, we're going to take a look at Axe's life-saving V-cancel versus SFAT, which won him the set at Smash Summit 5. Let's check it out. At 425, SFAT drifts towards the left platform of Pokemon Stadium, causing Axe's up-tilt attempt to miss. SFAT wavelands backwards on the left platform as Axe's up-tilt animation completes, and then attempts to short-hop Nair towards center, to which Axe simply walks backwards to avoid. He turns around and attempts to grab SFAT on landing, but SFAT gets a spot dodge out. This missed grab should, in theory, spell the end of Game 2 for Axe. Marth grab has a total of 29 frames, and Fox spot dodge has a total of 22 frames, which maths out to 3 frames of strict advantage for SFAT. In that advantage window, Fox can shine, which hits on frame 1, or jab, which hits on frame 2. The spacing is a bit off for a shine, so SFAT opts for the jab, and after Axe SDIs the hit upwards, he's unable to true CC the following up smash, which should guarantee a kill on Marth at this percent and stage positioning. But here's where things get interesting. Like our favorite cheese wheel taught us just a moment ago, Axe accidentally inputted a V-cancel with the expectation that he would be getting a ground tech just frames later. This allows Axe to survive the otherwise game-ending hit, and after almost a full minute of high percent tense gameplay, Axe brings it all the way back to steal game 2.
That's it. That's it, right?
Tell me that's it.
Oscar literally took his headset off. Dude, Zach's movement stopped. Like he couldn't.
Zach?
He couldn't.
His hands must be drenched in water right now. In sweat.
One of the most ironic things I found when I reviewed this sequence was that SFAT could have also had a life-saving V-cancel moment of his own in the beginning of this sequence. With SFAT airborne and at 129%, a clean up tilt for 13% would be a guaranteed kill at every trajectory DI angle. However, a V-cancel plus hard DI in the direction of the hit actually saves SFAT here. It's possible that this isn't even a consideration on SFAT's side though, not only because so many people V-cancel completely accidentally, but also because SFAT shine stalls to remove himself from the tumble animation, which removes the possibility of a ground tech altogether. Anyway, if you like what you saw, consider subscribing to me. Turn down for Walt,
Yeah.
or pledge
Thanks,
to my
Walt.
Patreon.
Now, why this mechanic was left so difficult, especially relative to the tiny benefit you get from performing it, while also being entirely hidden, is anyone's guess. A popular theory is that it's a probably unfinished mechanic that was being tested and then was forgotten about before it could be removed for release, much like another oddity I've covered. However, unlike the extender, which was removed in PAL, V-canceling exists on all versions of Melee. And if you ever feel like practicing V-canceling, or you just want to know when you do it on accident, there's a Slippi-compatible gecko code that plays a sound when a successful one is performed. Alright, let's talk about phantom hits. Moves that connect, but only do half their normal damage. And not really much else. Like L canceling, sometimes I see people say they're a glitch.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I just saw Zane shaking his fist like, yeah, dude.
They're not. However, unlike L canceling, which was mentioned officially in regard to its predecessor, but not with Melee proper, think of phantom hits as the opposite. The mechanic debuted in Melee, but wasn't officially named until Brawl, where they were officially dubbed glancing blows, and have since kept that name for Smash 4 and Ultimate. There are a couple other misconceptions surrounding phantom hits that I wanted to touch on as well. One, that phantom hits occur when a hitbox is tangential to a character's hurtbox, tangential meaning touching but not overlapping, and two, that phantom hits occur when attacks are a pixel off. While both are useful, convenient shorthand explanations for a relatively common occurrence in Melee, and understandably repeated among Melee players, they're not quite accurate. And for the sake of content, here are the real mechanics behind the mechanic. First, in most 3D games, there's really no such thing as a pixel when referring to a concrete amount of distance. For example, here you can say Fox is a couple hundred pixels away from Falco or something. But if we zoom out, or zoom in, which Melee's camera often does, the distance between the two in pixels changes. We can also change the resolution of the game itself, or of our device displaying the game and have a different number of pixels separating the two. Instead of pixels, Melee's character positions are represented in nameless in-game units, independent of any camera movements or resolution changes. Phantom hits occur when a hitbox overlaps a hurtbox within 0.01 of these units. This means a truly tangential touch of hit and hurt boxes could never cause a phantom hit, because of the actual overlap required for a phantom hit to occur. Unfortunately, due to Melee's hitbox and hurtbox visualizations not being perfectly elliptical, which they are in actuality, it looks like phantom hits aren't overlapping when we try to see this tiny overlap in action. But simulating more perfectly round hitboxes, we can get a rough idea of how they are. Or we can edit some data within the game and change the maximum overlap value of a phantom hit from 0.01 to something way bigger, like 5, giving phantom hits much more leniency. Doing this, the overlap becomes clearly visible without any need for my roughly approximated collision bubbles. And if you're curious what happens if we set this value to 0, it effectively removes phantoms from the game. And, shit, I'm down for that. Big thanks to Ben O, Cooper C, Dizzy, Dubs Rewatcher, Grarlic, GR Smash, I'm the Real Slayer, John, John L, Josiah B, Cathrarg, Kitty Cat Addy, Lamb's Respite, LRC Napkin, Matthew B, Moa, Pierce H, P Jiggles, PM Casey, Sega Monkey, Self Die Man, Shep Have You Tried Meditation, Soleil Souillon, Storm, The Big Beano, Turn Down for Walt, Wyvern, and Yashichi.